Let's talk about flying. We all have our little theories and habits when we're up in the air, right? But what if I told you that one of the most basic things we think we know about planes is completely wrong? And yeah, it all starts with the door.
I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but it's true. On most planes, there's no keyhole, no keypad, no fancy locking system. When it's on the ground, pretty much anyone could just walk up and pull the lever. So how on earth is that safe?
Think about it. 40 million times a year, we all pile into these giant metal tubes with unlocked doors, and yet they stay shut. This isn't just about good luck or hoping nobody gets any funny ideas. The real answer is hidden in a piece of physics that's as simple as it is brilliant.
To solve this little puzzle, we actually have to ask a completely different question first. And that is, why do planes fly so incredibly high to begin with? Because the answer to that is the key to everything.
So yeah, why fly so high? A lot of people guess it's to get a smoother ride, to get above all the clouds and storms. And while that's definitely a nice perk, it's not the main reason. Nope. The real driver, as it so often is, comes down to economics.
See, way up at 33,000 feet, the air is only about a third as dense as it is down here at sea level. For the plane, that means it's pushing through way fewer air molecules. That creates a lot less drag, which means the engines can be way more efficient. The plane can fly faster while saving a massive amount of time and, this is the big one, fuel.
And the payoff is huge. Just look at the difference here. Getting up to altitude is like flooring it to get on the highway. It burns a ton of fuel. But once the plane is up there, cruising along, it uses half the fuel. And the descent, it barely uses any at all. That big investment of energy to climb high pays off big time over the course of a flight.
And on top of all that, there are other bonuses. Jet engines just love that frigid minus 50 degrees Celsius air. It actually makes them run better. And yes, you do get that smoother ride above the weather. Pilots can even hitch a ride on these super powerful winds called jet streams, getting a free push that saves even more time and fuel.
But flying high, well, it's great for the plane's efficiency. But it creates one massive biological problem for all the squishy humans inside it.
Now here's the crucial point. The air up there is still about 21% oxygen, just like it is on the ground. The problem isn't the amount of oxygen, it's the pressure. It's so low that there just isn't enough force to push those oxygen molecules from our lungs into our blood. So to keep us alive, we have to create our own little artificial environment inside the plane. We have to pressurize the cabin. And that brings us full circle, right back to the door.
And this is the genius of the whole system. The door is, quite literally, a plug. It's built to be physically wider than the hole it's supposed to fill. So the higher air pressure inside the cabin is constantly pushing outwards, physically forcing that door into its frame and creating a perfect airtight seal. The thing that creates the problem, the need for pressure, is also the solution.
And the force created by that pressure difference? It's staggering. Trying to open that door mid-flight would be like trying to lift 9,000 kilograms. That's about 9 tons. No human being on Earth can do that. The door isn't locked with a key, it's held shut by the very air inside the plane.
Okay, I can hear you now. But wait, the door on my last flight definitely opened outward. And you're right, many do. But they are still plug designs. When you pull the handle, a clever mechanism folds in little bits at the top and bottom. But look at step 2. The door still has to pop inwards just a little bit before it can swing out. And it's that small inward movement that is completely impossible against 9 tons of pressure.
This brings up a good question, though. If pressurization is so great, why not just make the cabin feel exactly like sea level? Well, the tragic story of Aloha Airlines Flight 243 is why. Every single flight, a plane's metal body stretches a tiny bit from the pressure, and then relaxes when it lands. After doing this almost 90,000 times, the metal on this plane just got tired, and a crack led to a catastrophic failure. This is why cabins are only pressurized to feel like you're on a mountain at about 8,000 feet. It's the perfect sweet spot between what's comfortable for us and what's safe for the plane's structure.
So, understanding cabin pressure solves the mystery of the door, but it also helps us make sense of a few other kind of strange things about flying. Let's tackle a couple of myths you run into every single time you fly.
Ah, yes. The one rule that half the plane follows like it's gospel, and the other half, doesn't. So what's the deal? Why are we told to do this, and does it actually matter?
The history here is actually pretty fascinating. This all started back in the 60s with portable FM radios that could interfere with navigation. Then, in 1991, the worry was that phones in the air would connect to too many cell towers at once and crash the network on the ground. But in reality,
The plane's metal body blocks most signals anyway. To this day, not a single accident has ever been proven to be caused by a phone. The rule pretty much just sticks around because pilots can sometimes hear that old-school buzzing interference in their headsets, and in aviation, the motto is always, always, better safe than sorry.
All right, let's talk about something a little tastier. What's your go-to drink on a flight? Because for a shockingly large number of people, it's tomato juice. In one survey, more than a quarter of passengers ordered it, and a lot of them say they would never, ever drink it on the ground.
So what is going on here? Is it just some weird tradition, or is there something about being at 30,000 feet in a pressurized tube that actually changes our sense of taste? Well, the leading theory is wild. It's thought that the dry air and low pressure in the cabin kind of dulls our ability to taste sweet and salty things. But that constant loud drone of the engines might actually be stimulating a nerve that runs right by your eardrum, a nerve that's connected to your sense of taste. And for some reason, this stimulation seems to boost our perception of umami, that rich, savory flavor that tomatoes are absolutely packed with. Your brain is literally being tricked into loving it.
So, unlocked doors, metal fatigue, weird taste sensations, learning about all this stuff might seem a little unsettling, but it all points to a really powerful and kind of paradoxical truth about flying. Failure is what makes us safer.
This right here is the whole ball game. Every single incident, from a major tragedy like Aloha 243 to a pilot just hearing a little buzz in their headset, is investigated like you wouldn't believe. The entire system is built to learn from every single failure, no matter how small. And that obsessive process is what makes every single flight just a little bit safer than the one before it.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. Knowing that the door is held shut by an invisible force, that the cabin pressure is a careful compromise to keep the plane from getting too stressed, and that basically every rule exists because something, somewhere, once went wrong? Does understanding this intricate, failure-obsessed system ultimately make you feel more secure when you step on a plane or more anxious? It's something to think about on your next flight.